So I am thrilled to be here with you today. My name is Lindy Amato, and we're going to begin just with a land acknowledgement. I know we're all over the province, so it's a little bit difficult to do a single land acknowledgement, but we do have the capacity to do a land acknowledgement that just allows us to take a moment and realize where we are and the fact that we are so fortunate to be in this wonderful land. So here it is. Let me just share my screen again. There we go. Just a moment to acknowledge that we're gathered in the territories of various Indigenous peoples, and we further recognize their stewardship of these lands in which we live, learn, work, and play. So it gives me great joy to introduce Colleen Rose. Colleen, apart from being a very dear friend, is one of the best teachers I have come across in my long career. I think that if I could be reincarnated, I would be reincarnated into one of Colleen's students, because I think she's just an awesome teacher. I'll read her formal bio and then I'll put it into the chat for you. Colleen has been teaching visual aids in Northwestern Ontario for more than 20 years. She uses technology to enhance and organize classroom activities for students, and has found that online tools help even more while teaching from home. She's a practicing artist, and you can see a little sample of her work behind her. And she believes that sharing her work with students provides a foundation that can be used to build relationships with them. So thank you so much, Colleen, for being willing to do this. And I'm going to hand right over to you without further ado.
All right. So it's nice to see everybody on the screen. I don't know. I guess Lindy will be giving me control of the screen pretty soon. Lindy, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I kind of like the thought of you being a student in my classroom too, because we could have lots of fun.
Hi, we can't hear very well.
Okay, maybe I'll move it a little bit closer. I know that I talk a little bit quiet, but hopefully you can hear me well enough and that it's not too frustrating for you. So hopefully, Lindy, I don't know if you can hear me reasonably well, give me a thumbs up. Okay, good enough. So as you heard, my name is Colleen Rose, and I live in Red Rock, Ontario, which is just north of Lake Superior. So if that gives you an idea as to where I'm from, I know that probably a lot of people will be tuning in from southwestern Ontario, southeastern Ontario, but to me, we're up here almost in the bush. So hopefully the reception works out pretty well. I've taught high school for over 20 years, and I teach at a little spot called Nipigon Red Rock District High School. It's a very small school with probably about 140 students. So it's quite different than a few other people here, I'm sure. So I'm going to go into sharing my screen, although Lindy, will that change when I start sharing my screen? Because I can see all the video, or all of the video feeds from different participants. Will that be okay?
You should be fine if you share the screen, Colleen. You should be able to see your screen and some of the video feeds. Go ahead and try.
Okay. All right, let's cross our fingers. Okay.
Looks good to me.
Oh, good. Goodness. I'm going to go into presentation mode here. And I'm going to try and continue to speak loudly because I know something's up with my computer and it's kind of quiet. So this is art class distance learning style. And as you can see on the screen, there's a picture of me and my dog Cooper. And we like to use Instagram a lot to share what we do with our students. This is for your benefit. So I always like to imagine myself as this calm and cool and collected kind of person who's just casually talking about stuff. And that was what I had hoped for with you today. So if I end up looking like the guy on the bottom, just shake your head and give me a thumbs up anyway and be like, hey, you're doing a good job anyway. Keep it up. Keep going. It's okay. So I would invite you, if you have the ability, to look on a different screen, or if you have another device, I would love to hear from you. I've created a little questionnaire. I think it has probably 3 questions on there for you. And it's the bit.ly link that you see at the bottom of the screen. So it's bit.ly/small case ART and then uppercase OTF. I tried to put OTF and then ART, but the 5-year-old inside of me saw the combination of letters and I couldn't get past it, so I had to switch it. So while you're looking at that, I also wanted to introduce who's sitting right beside me. This is my daughter, Allie. She is not only my daughter, but she's also a student in my class right now. So she gets lots of attention from me, and she'll be speaking a little bit later because we're going to go through just a few of our activities that we've been doing. And she's going to give her take on it, and hopefully she won't, I don't know, hopefully she'll be kind. That's my hope. So you can come back later when I call you back.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that everyone got the link. If not, then maybe someone will be kind and share it in the chat box so that anyone who missed it can come back to it. So I'm going to move on. I think one of the main things, now you can read what's on the screen. I'm not going to read it for you because I'm sure that you are more than able to read. And one thing in presentations that I don't like is having to read something and someone read it to me at the same time. It's a waste of our time. I think the most important thing that we have to focus on as teachers is making sure that we are not stressed out. We cannot operate to the best of our ability under these circumstances if we're feeling stress. So we need to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to make sure that we are relaxed and we're comfortable, and the less pressure on us, the better. So I'd like to congratulate you for being here today and showing up with me. Like, to be interested in this kind of stuff, like, you're a rock star. Like, you're trying to better yourself. You're taking steps to learn even more when you're already probably like up to here with learning new stuff because you're trying to figure it out. So thank you so much. And you're a better teacher because of it. So that's awesome. I think another thing that I really, really think is important, and a few of my students have shared this with me as well, is that it's so important now that we're not in a physical space just to be in touch with where they're at. And for me, sometimes this means getting in my truck and heading out to where they're at and having a socially distanced video or a chat in their driveway. Sometimes it means video chatting. Sometimes it means having them answer a questionnaire. Anything that I can do and offering as many opportunities as possible, just so that they know that they're heard from me. It really means a lot to them. And it also means that I haven't given up on them and I'm just trying to get my job done. So maintaining that connection is really important to me because it makes me feel like I'm trying and that at least they know that I'm trying. So even if they don't do any of the work and share it with me, I know that they know that they can count on me to be there for them. So as long as they know that, I consider that I'm doing a good job, if that makes sense. So, so let me see. Let's go on to the next slide. So this is where I share a lot of information. If you are on Instagram, you'll know what this layout looks like. I've used Niprock Art as my place to share student work for a few years now. And now I find I'm sharing or using it even more. So you'll see not only the name Niprock Art, and it's curated by me, the posts, the followers and following, but at the bottom in the squares, you can see the different posts. So there's different pictures there of the work that we've been doing lately, and the captions kind of share what's going on so that people understand that. But even more, not more importantly, but as an added bonus, you can see where there are stories. So you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, halfway down the screen, there the word new, which would be a new story. But to the right of that, you'll see a few collections called Learn at Home. From the very first day of teaching online, not only do I upload videos to my classroom, but once I'm done the work in my Google Classrooms, I go on and I share a story on Niprock Art every single morning. And basically it's just me saying, hey everyone, your work is up in Google Classroom. This is kind of the stuff that we're looking at today. And here's Cooper, he's sitting here with me. And it's just some goofy stuff sometimes, but it's just a little update and another way of reaching out to students to let them know that I'm here with them. And sometimes I get some messages back, which is really nice. I know that, now this may seem silly, and you may feel the same way, you may not. But you know, when you are done summer vacation and you come back and you're chatting with your colleagues in September, and sometimes this is like almost like a guilty admission, but a few of us say, you know what, I'm kind of glad to be back because I miss the routine. And to me, like for the first few weeks of quarantine, I was kind of falling into like a slump. And although we had other stuff going on too, I really missed the routine. So almost immediately when we began distance learning, for me, for my own self-care, I started getting up at the same time I would have every morning for regular school. And after I was showered and I had my matcha tea, I started recording videos for my students. And basically by 8 o'clock every morning, I have their material on video, or on Google Classroom, so that no matter what time of day they log into Google Classroom, it's there for them. So for me, it's my way of being there for them no matter what time of day they log in. And that way they know that I'm thinking of them. And it's just it's a courtesy that I like to provide for them. So
Colleen?
Yeah?
I know I didn't ask you about this before, and I hope I don't throw you off kilter, but I don't suppose you'd be willing to just show like a minute of one of your videos.
Actually, it's going to be available later. So
okay, great. I wasn't sure, but that's great because people are very interested. And there's just one question that's been put up so far, and that was, when students are in pictures of the art, do you ask permission to post their work?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry for the interruption. Off you go.
No, that's totally okay. It's hard to ask for permission because sometimes I get so excited when the student hands in work and I want to show it right away. But I always have to make sure that I slow down and ask permission, because that's what I would have done in the classroom too anyway. But if you want to see a video the kind that I post on Niprock Art, there's a video there in stories, and it lasts for 24 hours if you post to stories. So you can go and see me chat either here, or you can go on Instagram stories and check out the story from this morning, and it'll disappear tomorrow morning. But because I've set up a collection, here, I'm going to show you. So this is Niprock Art. That's what it looks like on my phone. And because I've set up those collections, I can save the videos and anything that I put in stories, because I thought, you know what, if someone has checked out of school and they're like, you know what, Mrs. Rose, I just needed a few weeks of a break from school, but now I'm kind of finding my stride again. And like, can I see what you were sharing? I could say, hey, like if you wanted to, if you're really keen on seeing like what I said every morning, then you can go and check out the collections if you're curious, right? And maybe it's their way of feeling like they're part of it, even if they needed to take some time out, because sometimes stress is hard. So yeah, basically that importance of routine. I know that it provides structure, and if we are thinking about our hierarchy of needs, if we have some sort of stability, it's really good for us, and it can't hurt for our students too. So I figure, why not? At least that's a good way of making sure that I'm up and showered every morning, and it's a step in the right direction. So speaking of self-care, I know that sometimes we as art teachers or teachers in general, because I know that we probably have some 7 and 8 teachers here too, sometimes we feel like we have to create everything ourselves. And this is often tempting to me, and I do it a lot. But you know what? We have more important things to think about right now. So if you know Austin Kleon, you know that he is big on stealing like an artist. So I happened to notice that he was making a bunch of zines. And so I thought, oh, that's really cool. So I thought that it would be fun to make those with my students. It was something that was relatively easy to make with the materials that we had at home. And he had already pre-recorded a video of how to do it. And I looked at the video. It was nice, short and sweet. And I'm like, I'm stealing that too. Then I thought, oh, quarantine zine. Ooh, quarantine, wouldn't that be cool? And I thought that I came up with that all myself. And I made that as the, the title of my quarantine. And then I found out that he had already created that hashtag, and I'm like, oh, well, it's still cool anyway. So I made it, and I claimed it for a few seconds, and then, well, then I shared it with him because he technically created it first. So whatever. But if you want to check out, he has a great profile online. He shares tons of stuff. And he encourages stealing, so why not? This is just our way of saying thank you to him by stealing his stuff, right? So you don't have to be original. It's okay to steal. And Ali, if you want to come and join us again, we're going to talk about zines.
Fun.
And if you're the kind of person that is kind of like giving one ear to me while you take a look at stuff online, totally do it. Check out a ton of examples of zines from my students because I posted them on Niprock Art, and I don't mind if you're distracted. You're distracted in the right way, and I love it. So this is what the post looked like for in Google Classroom for our class, which is grade 10 open art. So basically, I said, okay, take a look through Austin Kleon's Instagram feed and find the following hashtags, watch the video that I've attached, and then I included examples of what I was working on as well. So I will show you my zine. It came from just one piece of paper, and this
You
was...
have to stop sharing your screen so that we can see your zine.
Oh, right. Thank you. Okay, can you see me okay now?
Yes.
Okay. So this was just a photocopied piece of paper, just from work. I think it's a Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy consent form, super dull and boring. So it might as well become a work of art. So if you take a look at the instructions, basically you're folding it in half, and then you're folding it in half again, and then half again. But then when you get to the middle part, you're just ripping that middle section out. See that? So then when you fold it like this, it becomes a book, which is super cool and super fun and really easy. And why not keep it nice and simple? So I created a few. I just want to make sure I'm on track and not distracted, because I get distracted super easy.
You're doing a perfect job. I love your quarantine and you're doing great.
Okay, cool. So at first I was like complicating it. This is like the story of how I uncomplicated my teaching. Mm-hmm. So at first you can see there's like, what did I do? Oh, right. So I coded the first page with like a sheet of like lined paper. I glued that on there because I'm like, yes, it's all about school, so that needs to be on there. And then I need to make it super fancy with lettering. And then I need to make like a collage of this word because it's kind of funky. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll get a cutout from the Tim Hortons package on my Keurig. And then I made like, oh my God, like, look, I was stitching, I was putting jean materials on there because I was like totally into patching my own jeans and I was super proud of it. Like, there's just like so much there. And then the next day I made this one, which is a little bit simpler. It's just like two things and then some writing. And then I felt guilty because I had made it simple. And then I got all moody because quarantine was bumming me out. So I just copied artwork like I would have done in high school because it made me feel better. And then I owned up to who I was. And so I made an anatomy of an art teacher. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is like me realizing who I really was for my, I'll show you this. So it says anatomy of your teacher. This says I need better posture, messy hair, baggy eyes, a Lifeline laptop, iPhone to record cheesy videos, bare feet because Chloe stole my socks again. That's my other dog. And there's Cooper right underneath my chair, and AKA class mascot. So this is basically me getting real and just calling it for what it is. And then there's a cartoon of me feverishly trying to finish a knitting project. But then in the end, it's just a picture of me as a cartoon looking at my phone, because every time I get a notification from my students, it warms my heart a little bit, although that's super like lame, but it's true. Like, I get really excited when notifications come in. And it just makes me happy. So you can see how it went from super complicated to really simple. And I hope that...
Show the fold again. Just show the fold one last time.
Absolutely. So look at that. So that's like the piece of paper. And you can see where it's folded. There's like 8 spots, right? So you know that you probably... I can't remember if it was folded this way first or this way.
That way.
Was it this way?
Yeah, but
okay.
You can find the video on this.
Yeah, yeah. So then you fold it in 4s, and then you fold it once again for 8 spots. but then when you unfold it, you have to be able to just tear that. So it is on YouTube. Yeah, I just caught a glimpse of that chat. So it's really easy, and it's like 8 mini artworks. So that'll keep them busy for a while, right?
Thank you, Colleen.
No problem. So I'm going to let Ali talk about what the experience was like for her. And I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm talking myself through the motions to make sure I do it the right way, I hope. And I hope I do it right. Now I can't find it. Look at all the stuff I've got going on here.
Oh, I like hers.
For some reason, my presentation has disappeared. And I'm not sure why. Lindy, can you share the presentation for me?
I can. I need a second though to open it because foolishly I had closed it, but I will find it probably quicker than you can. So just give me a second and I will do that.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Okay.
Doing great, Colleen. Be kind to yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop you sharing.
Okay.
And I'm going to now share.
Thank you.
I'm not on the right place. And I don't have it in presentation mode, unfortunately. I have it just as a, so I'm just going to go forward to the page that you were on, which was over here.
Okay, cool.
Is that good, Colleen?
That's awesome. So if you, let me see, I had hoped the link that I updated, I hoped was a picture of, it included a picture of Ali's zine, but I think
I could have saved it before you had updated it.
Yeah, you know what? That's because Ali was busy looking around for it while we were trying to get this presentation started today. That's okay. Yeah. So do you want to talk about what you did?
Yeah, sure. So the project, even though it wasn't original, it was one of my favorite assignments that she's done so far, although I haven't been in high school for very long. And it really allowed me to just do whatever I wanted. It was basically only a page a day, which I really liked because at that time I was just getting used to figuring out my routine for online school, and that can be super stressful. So the first page was...
I found it. I found it.
Oh, you did?
Are you seeing that?
Here I was just looking for it on my phone.
Are you seeing that? I hope everybody's seeing that.
Not yet.
We're still looking at the first page of...
Okay, let me... I need to get out of that. Hold on. And we try again.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
Here it is.
Okay, that's awesome. So the first page was just me like getting it done super quick, and my favorite thing are like these little tiny trinkets that I have in my room, and some of them are like my little lip gloss that I got from my mom for Christmas, my little amethysts and crystals, a few things when I was younger, and of course my iced coffee, which I love. And then the second one was required a bit more research because I had lots of nothing to do that day. And basically it's about sage being over-farmed, and I'm really into kind of looking into different religions. And so one of them that I was looking at the time was pagan and Wicca. And that in that you use witchcraft and all that stuff, which is super cool. But to clear a space, they often use sage. but it's also used, sage is also used for smudging. And a lot of people can't get it for smudging because it's being over-farmed. So I said, sage shall not be used in this home. Use cedar to keep old practices out of books. Because with dying languages, I wanted to keep, everything in the community and all that stuff. So I decided to put that in there, maybe for some extra credit.
Is there like maybe one last thing about you were saying that you enjoyed most?
I think one of my favorites was the last page because I was looking into the Me Too movement. So online, people are sharing pictures of their nude pictures and giving them to artists to recreate for the Me Too movement, kind of like a taking their bodies back from the things that they've faced and having it as art instead, which I thought was beautiful. So I took from one of my friends that I found, and I drew this, and I added the quote, "What was she wearing?" to tie it all into the Me Too movement. So yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So it was lots of fun. And so what I appreciated about doing that was that it was a way to, I guess, secretly give the students a way to record what they were going through. And I know that a lot of people were encouraging journaling during this time. Allison just saw a really nice compliment, so she's pumped. But if students weren't necessarily into like journaling or doing something serious, this was a way that they could easily capture this moment in time. And if they chose to save it as a keepsake of this time, then they've got a record of history from their point of view, which is a primary resource and something that maybe they might treasure for some time. So yeah. I thought that was pretty important for them too. So yeah,
I know a lot of my friends really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So it was nice being able to have Allie in my class so that she could tell me, okay, is this good or does it suck? Because if it sucks, I need to change what my plan is right now. So fortunately it worked out.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But feel free to take a look on Niprock Art because there's a bunch of examples from the students who allowed me to share their work, and that was awesome. So we're going to go to the next assignment, which I'm sure that you've heard.
Sorry, that's me.
That's okay. I'm going to get Lindy to go to the next slide since she actually has the presentation up. And we're going to take a look at the Getty Museum Challenge, which was super popular all over social media. So Lindy, if you don't mind going to the next slide, that would be great. I'm giving Lindy all the control now.
Am I on the right slide for you?
We're going to go to the next slide.
Which one are you seeing?
I'm seeing Allie's pictures.
Yeah, no, I had already gone forward too. So I think that what's happened is because I've gone into presentation mode and now I have to get out of presentation mode because it's not showing you what I'm seeing. Oh, this is so much fun. Hold on a second. Let's just go stop share. Sorry guys, but I somehow managed to mess this up.
It's all
just a second. We'll go right back. And I will share with you again. My apologies. I was trying to get a better picture for you and it ended up being a less better picture. Here you go. Thanks for your patience.
There we are. So the Getty Museum Challenge, for anyone who hasn't heard what it is, basically, it was a challenge to find a famous work of art, and using objects at home or people at home or pets at home, recreate a famous work of art at home, and so then share it online. So I said, this looks like super lots of fun for my students. I don't want them to miss out on it. And so before I introduced it to my students, I made sure to do it myself, because I didn't want to be someone who just says, do this work. Now I'm going to go over here. I wanted to be able to tell them, hey, it was super lots of fun. We're doing this together. So that's kind of just my philosophy. And you know, as you can see, Chloe and Cooper made a great God and Adam from Michelangelo's ceiling. And I think our whole family had fun that day making it. And so if there was a chance that maybe I had fun, then there might be a chance that some of my students would have fun too. So if Lindy, we could go to the next slide. So this is Allie. And so on the left, you can see the Instagram worthy picture. And on the right is like, we did it. So can anyone guess which artwork Allie has recreated?
Cindy Sherman.
Oh, that would have been a good one. You're not right, but that's, oh, I like Cindy Sherman's work.
Is it something to do with Madonna? With the, you know, Mother Mary?
Oh, that's a yes. It's not, but oh, so Brian said the kiss. Well, Lindy, I'm going to get you to go to the next slide so that we can see the comparison between the artworks. And there it is. It's Mother and Child by Gustav Klimt, who is a phenomenal artist. And the red hair really kind of captured, yeah, the artist was right. The red hair really captured, of course, our attention because of these flaming locks over here. And then we had fun coming up with the materials. We went to, like, where we live, we don't get a very early spring. So we were just hoping and praying that we would be able to find some, yeah, I'm glad she wore a dress too.
We wouldn't be able to show it. That wouldn't be good.
But we were able to find some early dandelions, and we had fun putting it together and then using little Chloe Bum as the baby. So that was super fun. Let's see, Lindy, can we go to the next slide? So, any guesses what this one is?
Very sophisticated dog.
Very.
The earring?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh! Is that your other dog?
That was by another one of my students. And so, Lindy, we'll go to the next slide so that we can see the comparison, the big reveal. And there we go. Isn't that awesome? And so we have another one for you to guess, which is next slide. Here we go. This probably looks a little more familiar. Any guesses? This is like your art history quiz here. Some of you are like, oh, this seems familiar, but it's
The angels.
Who knows the artist? I am like totally testing you on your art history knowledge here.
Raphael, the bottom of the Virgin Mary one.
William Morris.
Getting some good guesses. So Lindy, let's put
The
them
big
out of their
reveal. The big reveal.
Raphael, there we go. So, I mean, a complete likeness there with the puppies, who are just little angels anyway. But what I love about this project is that it takes the pressure off of students who don't necessarily want to be in a picture. And there's lots of different ways that you can get them to do artwork, either by just rearranging laundry or using their pets or making their family members do them something for them. Like recently, if you look on Niprock Art, one of my students got their dad to pose as Monet, which was awesome, like hilarious and awesome at the same time. I'm like, oh, this is so wonderful. And it makes me wonder, like, would this have happened if we didn't have distance learning? I don't know. So it's kind of cool, right? So yeah, awesome. All right, Lindy, let's go to the next slide. So Ali is finished for now, so I wanted to thank her for participating and for sharing her experiences with us. So, thank you, my dear.
Have fun.
Okay, thanks. Isn't she awesome?
Yes.
So all of this time, I had been doing all of these kind of like fun challenges with Ali's class, which is grade 10, but I had some other classes too that are grade 9. And so I thought, you know what, they've been working hard. Like we were looking at like some pretty serious topics because we were continuing what we were doing in the classroom. And I'm like, okay, it's time for some fun for these guys too. So I said, okay, we're gonna do the Getty Museum Challenge with you as well. But I didn't think it was fair for me just to rely on like my first example, because it would have been just like being lazy. So I wanted to think of something that was just for them. And so I think they got an even funnier rendition, because we, if you want to share the next slide, you can see what I'm talking about. There I am. So this was just a few days ago when we decided, yeah, we're gonna make a garden because we've been starting seeds and we don't want to have them all in containers. And I grew up in this little township of Dorian where we're known as farmers, and we did have big gardens growing up. So that was a big part of me growing up. And my mom is staying with us in quarantine. So all of a sudden, like, it was just this moment where I'm like, okay, we are done gardening. We look ridiculous. We look exhausted. We look as miserable as the people in American Gothic, but even messier because of our awful hair. So we're just gonna make this picture, and oh my God. So my students thought it was super funny, and I figured they deserve a laugh anyway. So why not, right? And if you can't laugh at yourself, what can you do? So if you see on Niprock Art, you'll see this, and then you'll see a few of the newer versions that are coming in from some of my grade 9s, including someone who like posed with the We Can Do It project as well, or the poster. So let me see before I get off track.
Colleen, do you have an assignment or a rubric that you can share for the Getty Museum Challenge?
You know what? I kept it super simple. I haven't even marked these yet. And I wanted to make sure, because I don't know what the word is in everyone else's board in school, but for us, we can't necessarily lower the grade as of March 13th. It can only be built up. So some students are going to end up with really inflated marks. So I'm taking the pressure off of myself, and I'm giving like only checklists to come up with marks right now. So there's nothing that I would normally have used in regular class. Sometimes things are just completed. So I know that sounds like lame, but I figure, you know what, I'm keeping it simple. because that's the way that we're going to get through this. So we're going to stay happy that way. So let me see. You know what, Lindy? I'm going to get you to stop sharing your screen just for a second. I'm going to exit full screen view because I think I found my stuff. And I am going to try sharing my screen. And everybody cross your fingers, okay? All right. I think we are in business, I hope. Famous last words, maybe? Okay. There we are. Look at us go. We are so pro right now. Okay. So I'm going to escape out of there. At the beginning of our meeting, I had asked you to fill out a questionnaire, and I did this for 2 reasons. So remember when I said that it's really important to get input from your students. I wanted to show you what some of my students wanted to share with you, and it's only just a handful because only a few people responded to this. Because I said to them, hey, I'm going to be sharing some tips for teaching art to other teachers in the province. I'm really nervous. Do you have anything that you'd like to share with them? So I gave them a questionnaire just like I gave you today. And so this is what they shared. So what it says here is, I think how you make sure not to include any special materials for the weekly projects so we can easily do them. That was really important. It says, tell them our weekly challenge, which I will be doing. They liked how the due dates are long because other classes don't give them as much time to do assignments. I know that I heard this from a lot of students. Some things, like everything seems to be going well. A lot of students really like videos. So I wasn't sure about including so many videos, but it was really nice to hear from a variety of times that I had been chatting with students that the videos were okay. And I wanted to also show you the results of anyone who had responded to this form, because I wanted you to see, in case you hadn't used a questionnaire before, what it looks like when you get responses. So hopefully these responses are lovely. This is my first time looking, obviously. So what you can do is that you can see a summary. You see this right here where it says summary? I can see a summary of the names. I can scroll down and look at everybody here. Look where you're from. This is so cool. This is like seeing a different kind of map, but it's giving me all of this information all at once in this handy dandy form. And look at this. These are the biggest challenges according to our group to teaching art online. And lack of materials, totally. And so this is where we need to have fun and think of ways that we would love to do art if we were a student in our class. And that's so important, because if we're not having fun, chances are our students aren't having very much fun either. And I would love to be able to participate in something that's a little bit more interesting and fun, or something. Like when a notification goes off for my class, I don't want my student to cringe and go, oh, another one. I don't want to look at it. You want, when a notification goes off in your class and your student sees it, you want them to be excited and say, oh my God, did she make a fool of herself on a video again? Let's see. Or like, what is she going to get us to do this time? Who knows, right? At least, hopefully, they're interested. Any great podcast to share? Ooh, I am totally going to check these out later. Thank you for these recommendations. Any other questions? Are you going to share ideas for materials and links for digital art? Because we're limited for digital art, I don't have a lot of experience with that. And because like I don't know what students have available, because we have some students who are bussed in from reserves. We have students who don't necessarily have internet connections or technology necessarily. So I kind of hesitated from doing too much of that. I will definitely share the podcasts that come in. Maybe I will put that, I'll tag it onto my presentation so that maybe if anything is going to be shared, I'll just put it on an extra slide, and then that'll be really cool.
That would be awesome, Colleen.
Yeah. If we've got tech, we might as well use it for all it's worth, right?
Correct.
So this is a picture of one of my students who gave permission for me to use her picture. Just like seeing videos, the students, when they get into a video chat with me, and this doesn't happen a lot, it's basically, if I was going to estimate a percentage of students who are able to have a video chat with me, it's probably only like 10 to 15%. Some kids are going through some rough times right now. Some don't have good internet connections. A lot of students are working to help their families out. So there's a variety of reasons, right? But when we do get to video chat, it's just so rich and rewarding, because it's awesome to see your kids' faces, right? So that was really cool for me. These are just a few extras that I wanted to share with you. So again, you can see, ask for feedback, listen to your students. If they have questions or if they have concerns, it's your best way of getting an honest perspective of how they see it. And it's your chance to go, you know what? Oh my God, thank you so much. If we need to stop what we're doing and kind of simplify it or switch it up a little bit, it allows you to be an artist as a teacher. So I think that that's like the best thing, even though sometimes it can sting a little bit when you ask for input or when you put yourself out there. But it really, really is good. And the students are so thankful. Whenever I get a form and I share it with them, I have so many thank yous from students, because it's just one of those ways you can share with your students that you give a care. And they know it. Like, they're going to call you on it too. Oh, right. So before, I used to take videos with my phone and then upload them to Google Classroom. Then my phone ran out of memory. It sucked. And then I had to figure out what I was going to keep on memory and not. And I have a lot of memory on this phone. So you can imagine just how much was eaten up. So I started out of desperation, just going to live stream on YouTube, making an unlisted link so it wasn't public. I clicked on the yes, it's for kids option, because I didn't want anything unnecessary pop up. And then when I was done, I just copied the link into Google Classroom, and it was super easy. And now I have my phone back, which is great. Oh, right. Yeah. Don't be afraid to laugh at your mistakes. We're all human. Allie and I tried to make Dalgona coffee that's super popular now in quarantine.
It was disgusting.
And it was disgusting. Like, I don't know if it was the way that we made it or if it was truly something that we don't like. We're going to try again, maybe when we get the courage. But if something doesn't work, just be like, hey, okay, that sucked, everybody. Let's move on. It's okay. And it's, make the most of it.
Colleen, I love the way people are sharing in the chat. Like, Sheila's talking about some work she's done, and she's kindly given her email address if people want to just copy that down, because I won't be sharing the chat afterwards, although we will, of course, include links in Colleen's presentation. But a lot of really fantastic sharing happening on the side here.
Oh, I hope there's a way that I'll be able to read through. I'm like, I get distracted so easy. So I've been hard on myself, and I've said, don't look at the chat, only because you'll lose track of what you're saying and then you'll flip up. So it's
so
like,
we have about 4 minutes left, Colleen. Any final thing you wanted to show.
The link that I've put there is a peek at this week's weekly challenge. So this is what I was talking about earlier. So if you go to bit.ly/OTF and then lowercase still life, that's what I'm working on right now with my students. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. It includes a video that I just took, I believe, this morning. So this is the intro. I called it something really cheesy. And as far as I know, it's original because I haven't seen anyone else do this. It's called Still in the House, Still Life. And it's kind of like the quarantine idea, but it's a way of recording what you're going through right now in a still life. So if it's like a moment in time, but it's still teaching some concepts. This is just something to make my students laugh, kind of like a still life. But if we look, I created an extra link for students who wanted to go above and beyond. And then I created an example of a photo. But then this morning, I did another photo, and then I showed a sketch, and then I explained myself. And then I talked about it as well. And students really have been enjoying the videos just for clarification. So this is a way to let you express your inner David Bowie, who was always a trailblazer, and he wasn't afraid to be a little bit different. If you look under, of course, in Instagram, the _NITCH, you'll be able to see a lot of really inspiring photos and quotes. And of course, we are all still learning. It can be cheesy for all it's worth, but you know what? We're all rock stars right now, and we have to cut ourselves some slack if things are tough. And we will find our way, especially if it's together like this. So I want to thank you so much for coming to this today, for putting up with our little glitches here and there. But thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Thank you, Lindy, for being my plan B when I couldn't figure out how to share my screen again.
No worries. Colleen, it's really for me to thank you. I've had an amazing time being here with you, and just have loved a lot of the comments and the questions and the things that have been shared here today. I did want to say again, just to remind everybody, there is an evaluation form that people will get. I can share my screen again, and I'll just show you the links to that. But you will get that all in an actual email. So don't worry about that too much, because you will be able to find that link. You'll get a link to Colleen's slide deck, as well as a link to the webinar itself. We're encouraging people to come back and see other webinars. I have to say that the webinars fill up very, very quickly. So the ones that are on next week are Making Your Early Years STEM and something on Ed Puzzle. And we have a Francophone one coming up, but keep checking back on the OTF calendar, because we do have webinars that are going to be screened through all of June, as well as the rest of May. And just all that's left for me is to say thank you, everybody, for being here. It's been fantastic, and hoping that we will see you back. And Colleen, honestly, you did an awesome job. So I'm clapping.
Thank goodness. Thanks, everybody, for everything today.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You want to come over?
Are people still there? Is that why you left?
A few people left.
Oh,
I'm going to actually save the chat.
Oh,
in case
good.
there are some things that we need to pull off it.
That would be great.
If I can. And I should stop recording.